What's up guys, it's Endymion, and in this video it's time to dive deep into the incredible finale that is Mass Effect 3, and talk about some interesting facts and things you may not know about this polarizing yet excellent experience. So, without further ado, let's begin. Starting off, did you know originally BioWare planned to have your entire crew die heroically during the final rush to the Citadel? Every single character from Liara to Garrus and beyond would have made a final stand fending off Reaper forces to allow Shepard the opportunity to reach the Citadel and finally end the war for good. Obviously, BioWare backpedaled on this, but if this is what ended up happening, I wonder how fans would have reacted. Let me know what you guys think about this one. Next up, Tali's face was originally supposed to be shown after Priority Rannoch, but BioWare decided against it. They did, however, make a small addition with a face model edit, which apparently was what BioWare originally intended Tali to look like, instead within Mass Effect 3. This was later updated in the Legendary Edition, but if I'm being honest, I wish they just showed Tali's face in full in-game. It would have made that Rannoch moment incredible. Speaking of weird changes, the Elusive Man was supposed to be the final boss of Mass Effect 3, and BioWare went as far as to make an actual concept art depiction of what this would have looked like. It was cut from the game, unfortunately. Instead, fans had a similar argument, which can lead to the Elusive Man shooting himself, which is pretty identical to what can happen in Mass Effect with Saren at the end. Funny enough, both of those scenes also happen on the Citadel. This next one is cool. EDI's physical body design was based on the iconic robot from the 1927 German film Metropolis. The film was directed by Fritz Lang and told the story of a woman whose consciousness is implanted into a synthetic body. That's a very gross simplification of the movie, but in case you ever wanted to watch it, it's considered to be one of the most influential movies of all time and one of the first science fiction films ever made. Speaking of squad mates, Jack can actually become a villain based on your choices in Mass Effect 3. If you refuse to evacuate the students in Grissom Academy, Jack actually gets captured by Cerberus and ends up getting brainwashed into becoming a phantom. Later on in the game, during Priority Cerberus headquarters, you can actually fight Jack and ultimately end her life. Thankfully, I never did this because I couldn't ever let Jack die. She's way too badass, but the more you know. The Star Child at the end of Mass Effect 3 is actually voiced by both male and female Shepard, as in their voices are combined into one. The third voice is actually the little boy you failed to save in the beginning of Mass Effect 3, who obviously the Star Child looks like to connect with Shepard. Did you know that Kai Lang, the Cerberus assassin and right-hand man of the Elusive Man, is actually modeled after the real-life martial artist and actor Joshua Shibata? That's pretty cool, but I'll never forgive him for what he did to Thane. If you turn over Legion to Cerberus in Mass Effect 2, then in Mass Effect 3, Legion ends up becoming an enemy that tries to stop you in Priority Cerberus headquarters. Again, I've never done this because I love Legion, but for the heartless out there, yes, you can do this. One of the biggest and bizarre controversies of Mass Effect wasn't just its ending, but actually that Javik, the Prothean team member, was relegated to a pre-order bonus initially. See, originally Javik was integral to the plot of the game, so much so that Javik would be the one discovering the location of the catalyst for Shepard. Why BioWare made such a pivotal story character optional is still puzzling even to this day. Thankfully, he's included from the get-go in Legendary Edition. 2 years before Mass Effect 3 launched, the Winter Olympics were held in Vancouver, British Columbia, over here in Canada. So in order to pay homage to the Olympics and show the world somewhere that was close to BioWare, the developers chose Vancouver as the first level area in Mass Effect 3. It's a nice city, I've been there myself, it rains a lot there. Didn't see any Reapers myself though. This one is goofy, but if you remember in Mass Effect 1, there's a guy asking for a refund on the Citadel and the shopkeeper won't budge. You can later return in Mass Effect 2 and the same guy is still asking for a refund. However, in Mass Effect 3, the refund guy finally gets his money back, which is a total of 15 credits. So good for you, Refund guy. It only took you almost 5 years, but you did it. Did you know that BioWare designed the Leviathans after the literary works of influential author H.P. Lovecraft? In Lovecraft's stories, he frequently writes about ordinary people encountering godlike extraterrestrials that indoctrinate and drive the human characters to madness. Speaking of Lovecraft, the entire DLC titled Leviathan is based on the short story by Lovecraft called The Call of Cthulhu. Both stories have a human, in this case Shepard, following a trail of clues until they encounter a sleeping godlike alien being in the oceans. I love the Leviathans, they're so cool. In Mass Effect 3, Shepard can find a collectible that holds the genetic data of a dead dinosaur-like creature called a cacosaur. This is obviously a reference to Jurassic Park, and hopefully Shepard never tries to revive that thing, cause we know what happens when you try to revive dinosaurs. It doesn't end well for anyone. Did you know that BioWare has an Easter egg regarding the Mars rover, and it wasn't discovered until 2021 when the Legendary Edition came out? You have to go a certain direction in order on Mars, but if you do, you end up seeing the rover in action. I wonder if there's anything else fans haven't found yet in the Mass Effect trilogy. In Mass Effect 2, Mordin remarks that Cerberus' way of keeping their secrets safe via cyanide teeth capsules to be stupid and a waste, and instead, ocular flashbangs should be used as they're more efficient. Well, clearly Cerberus was listening, because in Mass Effect 3, they actually changed from cyanide to ocular flashbangs, so thanks Mordin, I guess? In terms of romances, if you have Ashley and James on your roster in Mass Effect 3 and you don't romance either of them, during the Citadel DLC, they end up hooking up during the party. Nice. And that's not all. If you don't romance Garrus or Tali either, then in Mass Effect 3, you can actually walk in on the pair lusting over one another. This actually happened to my Shepard when I was playing. I love things like this, it's great. This one's puzzling, but did you know during the section when you're shooting the Reaper with a turret that the turret is actually completely useless? And it doesn't actually do any damage at all. BioWare just added a random turret section that has no gameplay impact just for dramatic tension. So next time you're playing, just enjoy the view, cause you can't do anything anyway. This one is well known, but the ending of Mass Effect 3 was so controversial that BioWare had to release a free DLC to further extend the game's final moments. This is actually one of the most prolific moments in gaming history, where the fans of a franchise basically bullied a developer into changing something they felt didn't need changing. Mass Effect 3 is also, weirdly enough, the only game in the series where you don't have a Krogan squad member. Although if you count the Citadel DLC, Rex can be used, but he's not available unfortunately outside of that DLC. Mass Effect 3's gameplay was increased by 15% according to BioWare to make the game feel like it hits the sweet spot in terms of how it plays. It's also the only game in the trilogy, when it came out anyway, that allows players to use any gun they wanted regardless of class. A weight system was developed to counterbalance this, however. Originally, BioWare planned to have Shepard be retrofitted with Reaper technology, leading to Shepard becoming the very thing they swore to destroy. And following this, BioWare originally had either Ashley or Kaidan, depending on who survived, be the one to confront Shepard about this. The idea was to have Shepard go down a similar path to the original villain Saren, who also was implanted with Reaper tech, but this was obviously abandoned. The main villain of Mass Effect 3 was originally going to be what BioWare called the Reaper Queen. And in order to destroy it, Shepard would have to not only sacrifice the Citadel, but the entire Earth itself to destroy the Queen. Obviously, this was changed, and if BioWare went down this route, not having Earth in the future of Mass Effect would have been a really weird, kind of bad, but sort of interesting idea in my opinion. And finally, here's a fact regarding Mass Effect 3 and, well, me. Mass Effect 3 is one of my favorite games, and I think there are so many things about the game that are amazing, and I love this game dearly. But my favorite moment in the entire game was when you're rushing towards the Citadel at the end. That moment is forever ingrained in my mind. I also thought the customization, gameplay, and music were the best in the series here as well, although I found the squad roster to be the weakest of the core trilogy. Nevertheless, Mass Effect 3 is an amazing game, and whether you liked the ending or hated it, I think it's still a solid, masterful game that accomplishes the impossible. Well guys, that's the video on Mass Effect 3 and the Iceberg Explained. Let me know what you thought and give me any facts you know that weren't in the video. Next up is Andromeda, and thank you for the support on the last two videos regarding the original game and Mass Effect 2. Let me know what else you want to see, like and subscribe to give my life meaning, thanks to my patrons, and I'm Endymion. I'll see you in the next one.